I never thought I would find myself in such a terrifying place. I've never been a fan of horror movies or haunted houses, but here I am, trapped in an abandoned place with no one around for miles. It all started as a simple dare from my friends. We were driving down a deserted road late at night, looking for some excitement. That's when my friend Jake spotted a creepy-looking building in the woods. "Let's check it out," he exclaimed, a mischievous grin spread across his face. I should have said no, but peer pressure got the best of me. We parked our car in front of the old building and made our way inside. The door creaked open as if it hadn't been opened in years. The musty smell hit us immediately, making me want to run back to the safety of my own bed. But I followed Jake and the others inside. The interior was dark and dusty, with broken furniture scattered everywhere. I couldn't help but feel a chill run down my spine. "This place is creepy," I muttered, trying to convince my friends to leave. "Oh, come on, it's just an old abandoned building. What could go wrong?" Jake said, trying to sound confident. But I knew something didn't feel right. The air was heavy and I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. I brushed it off as my imagination playing tricks on me. But as we explored the building, I started to regret my decision to come here. Strange noises echoed through the hallways, and it felt like the walls were closing in on us. I could see my friend Lily clutching onto her boyfriend's arm, clearly scared out of her mind. We made our way to the basement, where Jake had heard there was a secret room. The door was locked, but Jake managed to find the key hidden under a pile of bones in the corner. As soon as he opened the door, a nauseating stench hit us. I could barely breathe, and I could see my friends gagging as well. My first instinct was to run, but curiosity got the best of me, and I followed Jake into the room. What we saw inside will haunt me for the rest of my life. The room was filled with jars containing strange creatures, some of them still moving. I couldn't believe my eyes, it was like something out of a horror movie. We quickly made our way out of the room, but as we were leaving, I noticed something moving in the corner of my eye. I looked back and saw a figure standing in the shadows. It was tall and had long, bony fingers. I screamed and ran as fast as I could, my friends following closely behind. We made it back to our car, panting and trying to catch our breath. We thought we were safe until we saw the figure standing in front of the car, its pale, sinister face staring back at us. Before we could even react, the figure let out a blood-curdling scream and started running towards us. We quickly started the car and drove off, not stopping until we were several miles away. We never spoke about that night again, but the memory still haunts me. I couldn't shake off the feeling that the creature we saw in the basement was still following me, waiting for the right moment to strike. Several weeks passed, and I was starting to think it was all just a bad dream. That was until I started seeing the figure everywhere I went. At first, it was only in the corner of my eye, but then it started getting closer and closer. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to go back to the abandoned building and face my fears. I called my friends, but they refused to go back, still too scared from our last encounter. I made my way back to the building, the same musty smell greeting me as I entered. This time, I was prepared with a flashlight and a can of pepper spray. As I made my way to the basement, I could feel a sense of dread wash over me. The closer I got, the weaker my flashlight became. I was determined to get to the bottom of this mystery, so I continued on in the dim light. When I finally reached the basement, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The jars of creatures were gone, and in their place was a note written in blood on the wall. It read, "You shouldn't have come back." I screamed and ran as fast as I could, not stopping until I reached my car. I never went back to that abandoned place again, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that it was still following me. Even now, I still see the figure in my nightmares. I can't help but wonder what was really in those jars and who or what was responsible for trapping them there. But one thing is for sure, I will never underestimate the power of an abandoned place again. As a child, I viewed malls as enormous playgrounds where I could partake in scavenger hunts with my friends and play hide-and-seek while my parents shopped. Little did I know that one incident would instill a lasting fear of malls in me, persisting into adulthood. Over 2 decades ago, the tale I'm about to share unfolded. In my early years, I resided in a bustling city, characterized by its expansive urban landscape. Amidst the presence of malls, schools, and subways, the city's evolution also left behind traces of the past. Antique buildings abandoned and scattered throughout its expanse. One of which was a vast mall that was only a few feet behind our playground. One day, amidst an intense round of hide-and-seek where I found myself among the last players, my competitive spirit surged. Determined to secure a unique hiding spot where nobody could conceive of finding me, the abandoned mall emerged as the ideal location for my cunning plan. Swiftly, I made my way towards the mall, aiming to evade detection throughout the journey. Upon arrival, I began scouring for an entry point. The three main entrances to the mall were securely sealed. However, my eyes caught sight of a small, cracked air vent positioned at a reachable height. I crawled through the air vent, navigating the confined space to gain entry into the mall. Once inside, the allure of exploration eclipsed any thoughts of the ongoing hide-and-seek game. My curiosity took the reins as I wandered for nearly an hour, delving into the remnants of the once dynamic stores, cosmetics, clothing shops, and even a barber shop. I could find everything. However, one store seized my attention more than the others. It was a clothing shop that, despite the passage of time, felt remarkably new. The glass remained unscathed, the doors inside were still closed, and three mannequins in the front donned clothes, a surprising sight, resembling huge toys in my young mind. Moving on from that captivating store to explore the rest of the mall, I found myself just a few feet away when a sound of shattering glass reached my ears. Startled, I decided to exit the mall, but unfortunately I found myself unable to recall my entry point. I was terrified as I was walking around the entire mall looking for an exit, and quickly my imagination started playing dirty games on me as I started hearing some footsteps behind me. The footsteps precisely mirrored my rhythm. They commenced with every step and ceased when I stood still, creating an illusion that they were my own. However, they resembled more the echo of wooden soles striking the ground. As I was still questioning where I came from, screaming desperately for my friends to find me and get some help, I could spot something that stood pretty far away from where I was. As I took the time to examine it, it was surely one of the mannequins I'd seen earlier. But what was it doing there? And how did it get outside of the store was what I couldn't really understand. As much as I walked around, every time I looked behind, the same mannequin would be standing, the same distance separating us, and that's when I really freaked out. I started running around the mall crying and yelling on the top of my lung asking for help, and that mannequin seemed to follow me everywhere. As a desperate way to prove that, I faced the mannequin and started walking backwards, and it was only a short while for me to bump into something. As I turned around, what I've seen terrified me. The same mannequin was standing there. I quickly turned towards the mannequin that I was trying to surveil the entire time, and it simply wasn't there, and that's how I knew for sure that this mannequin was surely alive. However, something about the mannequin's pose really captured my attention. It was different than the one I've seen in the store. This time, the mannequin extended its index finger, pointing in a specific direction. Upon following its indication, I realized it was gesturing towards the vent I had used to enter the mall all along. I hurried towards the vent, and this time, there were no accompanying footsteps, nor did the mannequin trail behind. I swiftly leaped outside of the mall, carrying a tale that will forever linger in my memory. I never thought I'd end up in this place. It's old and abandoned, full of dust and cobwebs. The floorboards creak under my feet as I walk through the empty halls. The only light comes from the moon, shining through the broken windows. I should have known better than to follow my friends here. They dared me to enter this abandoned place, said there's nothing to be afraid of. But now, as I stand alone in these decaying walls, I feel like I'm being watched. Like something is lurking in the shadows, waiting for me. I try to tell myself it's just my imagination, but the cold chill running down my spine tells me otherwise. I can hear strange noises coming from the rooms, like whispers and moans. My heart is racing and I can feel my palms getting sweaty. I follow a dark hallway, my fear growing with every step. I reach a room that seems to be the source of the noises. The door slowly creaks open as I cautiously step inside. The room is filled with old furniture covered in sheets. But what catches my eye is the figure hunched in the corner. Its eyes are glowing red, staring right at me. I let out a scream and run out of the room, not looking back. I hear a loud growl and footsteps chasing after me. I'm running as fast as I can, trying to find my way out of this nightmare. But the halls seem to be shifting and changing, making it impossible for me to find an exit. I turn a corner and come face to face with a decomposing body. Its face is contorted in agony and its hands are reaching out towards me. I scream again and run in the opposite direction. I feel like I'm trapped in a never-ending maze with no way out. But then, I see a door with a faint light coming from underneath. I rush towards it and fling it open, hoping it leads to safety. To my relief, I find myself outside, under the open sky. I take a deep breath, feeling the fresh air filling my lungs. As I turn back to look at the abandoned place, I see my friends standing in front of it. They're all laughing and having a good time, oblivious to my terror. I run towards them, screaming and crying, telling them we need to leave this place now. But they don't believe me. They think I'm just overreacting. And as we walk away, I can still hear the whispers and moans from the abandoned place, knowing that I will never enter its doors again.